Embark Studios, the creators of Arc Raiders. For the past few years, I've been documenting the development of this game. But while most games change over the course of development, the story of Arc Raiders is a unique one. Because not only has this game changed dramatically, but the original version of the game that was shown to the public no longer exists. And ever since it was first shown, the internet has been asking one question: what exactly happened to that version of the game? When the Arc Raider teaser trailer was first shown to the world at the Game Awards in 2021, it was a very different game. You see, back then it was being pitched as a co-op PvE experience with players able to jump high and run across a wide open map, working together to defeat massive machines with emergent behaviors. Players selected their characters from a set of defined heroes, and crucially, it was a free-to-play game. Over the next 4 years, Arc Raiders would evolve into something very different. A PvP-VE extraction game with denser, more lived-in levels. Machines of all shapes and sizes would populate this world. The enemies were driven by physics and groundbreaking locomotion tech, turning a once arcadey experience into something far more grounded. In this 3-part series, we're going to reveal not only why the original concept was killed, but how the current version of Arc Raiders rose from the ashes of that project. We're going to detail the bleeding-edge locomotion technology powering the movement of their most intimidating machines, how elements like gunplay and loot evolved over the years, why they dropped free-to-play, the impressive work done by the audio team, and much more. First things first though, to fully understand what happened to Arc Raiders, the game that was meant to kickstart this new studio, we have to go back to the founding of Embark itself. How did this new studio come about, and most importantly, how did they decide what type of games they wanted to make?
Interesting. It won't be Game of the Year, it's not even nominated.
Like a lot of the initial employees at Embark and the founders came from DICE, and I've been in the industry for close to 20 years. Most of that spent with the people here. I shipped 21 games, one at EA, I think.
Interesting. Medal of Honor.
xQc. During my 20 years of building games or more, you know, the first game we built, we were 7 people in an apartment, basically, you know, to then oversee productions with over 1,000 people. Are the games themselves better? There are more of them, they're at higher fidelity, but are they actually better games? How do we move away from productions that are so large that they're difficult to manage?
I mean, I was part of the group, the founders group, so I was here when
Fire
we were 6
everybody.
people. Technology-wise, I mean, we quickly settled on Unreal. And then in conjunction with that, we also had proprietary tech that we were developing. And then also, of course, invested heavily on procedural tools, especially for the content team.
The initial gang sat around a big table and discussed things that we want to explore and games that we want to try and see if this fits into something that we want to do. So we started this endeavor of making micro pitches. That we would come up with a simple game concept and talk about it for just a couple of minutes. And we started doing this over and over, we started seeing common thematics. They slowly formed.
Hey, what is the guy playing in the back? Is that Warcraft 3?
We started seeing common.
Warcraft 3? Yeah, don't film this guy. He's just doing no work. He's doing no. He's watching Warcraft 3 fucking build orders so he can play online. What the fuck is this guy doing?
Thematics. They slowly formed into the initial pitch for what we wanted to make. So
you know, YouTube. He's watching Warcraft 3 build order tutorial to play on his main monitor, buddy.
One of them became the finals.
A couple of thematics that we knew we were excited about was, of course, the prospect of space travel, the impending sort of ecological collapse, the rise of AI and the man versus machine angle. That was a game in there. And
yeah, the final was a rocky release, but I think they did pretty good. People are enjoying the game right now.
Concepts, I think those were the things that were sticky in there. I think from a mechanics perspective, I think the first pitch was something along the lines of session-based raids. To give you an idea, we talked about some sort of Venn diagram between Shadow of the Colossus, Left 4 Dead, and PUBG. somewhere in the middle there. There was a game concept that, I mean, on paper,
they don't want to say
super compelling.
They don't want to say Tarkov because they don't want to look like they copied the game mode. But there's so much shit stolen from Tarkov. It's like, come on, bro. At least mention it, bro. It's not a big of a deal. Like, Jesus.
In a vast world with huge machines, that's what we started to explore.
Zones, items, mechanics,
like kind of game loop we were supposed to have, but just like looking at the prospects of different mechanics in that context.
So we wanted to make something completely our own, and everyone had an idea of something fantastical, sci-fi leaning, because it's
oh, the initial version, you mean? Okay, yeah.
But it's also a challenge to carve out your own niche in that. And it was certainly challenging. Even my kid, who was like 11 or 12 at the time, just had the sentiment going, oh, new studio, sci-fi game, very original.
Embark's first game was going to define the studio, and they wanted to work on something that was outside of their familiar first-person military backgrounds, a game that was on the bleeding edge of technological innovation. The team entered a long period of brainstorming and ideation as the studio slowly built up around them, a process that gave them many of their most attractive ideas, but also created significant design cul-de-sacs that would prove troublesome down the road. This project was known internally as Pioneer.
Now let me tell you something crazy. Chat, here's my idea, chat, if I had this studio. And I want to put my foot down as being the best game of all time. You log into this event that happens once a day, and the whole map is this big ass boss. You know the big bosses in the other map? It's the whole map. It has like 6 legs, and everybody spawns near one leg, and you can go inside of it, and then you go in the leg, and as you progress through the boss, right? And then you have to beat the boss, anything inside, and make the boss go boom. You know what I mean? Everybody goes through the legs inside, right? Think about that. That's cinema.
That would prove troublesome down the road. This project was known internally as Pioneer.
We developed, I think, core mechanics at the same time
moving
as
while you're
we
killing
were
it.
Testing out some initial ideas about the game mode itself. No one was thinking about a larger meta game at that time. Like, what is the actual economy that drives the players' motivations and so on. We were literally exploring the initial mechanics of how does it feel to play against these machines, and because I think all games needs to go through that. Like, is there something fun in the second-to-second mechanics? Like, is it fun to even in FIFA? If it's not fun to kick a ball against the wall, it's not going to be a fun football game. Sort of put these large machines in this large world.
That is an awful fucking comparison, but I see where he's going from.
Against these large machines, just from a pure sort of game and spectacle, there was something there.
You can say it was an extremely ambitious project. It's supposed to be a new genre, or was supposed to be a new genre, and session-based raid with, say, 40 players, and you're supposed to take down huge obstacles together, like big bosses, big AI enemies that evolve over time. So every time you go into a session, you play against a new version of the AI.
3 to 4 teams or more, I don't remember, but scattered out in a big world. And at some point, giant machines would arrive. It was already populated with smaller machines, but then we would have these larger machines arrive, and then we would sort of have the surviving players would then converge into these epic moments
looks pretty cool.
At the end tail of a session. We had some amazing...
Yo, chat, can you think about it though? Imagine you made the legs massive, and you have to parkour in the leg, and there's like a bunch of small mobs inside. Like, as it's moving, and you can feel that it's moving around, and it bumps you and shit. Dude, let me cook on this.
We had some amazing playtests and amazing moments when we did that.
Shout out to Colossus, exactly.
We saw the potential there. Like, and we wanted to believe that we could replicate that on a consistent basis. But that's where I think, where the sober eye should have come perhaps a little bit earlier than we wanted. We wanted to believe that we had something there, that there are some incredible moments in there. But the individual player there, if we were being honest with ourselves and looking at the game with a lens of trying to capitalize on that and make a game out of that, again, consistently replicating a player session that would hold those moments over and over again, I think that was much harder than we thought.
I think I like the video, sure.
This version of the game, now known as EP1, was a very different game to the Arc Raiders we know today. Player movement was far more bombastic, characters were powerful, adopted the personas of various heroes, and worked collaboratively to hunt down these large machines. Very different to Arc Raiders in terms of both gameplay and tone. But many fundamental aspects of the game were developed in this period. Highly detailed, vast open terrain, the feel of the weapons, the look of the world. One such aspect,
I think something that could be cool for the game though, definitely though, is adding like a class depending on what ending perks you got into the game. What if you were like, I don't know, you have two main perks on yellow and one finish on red, right? And it makes you, I don't know, a scavenger or something like that, you know what I mean? And it gives you a small buff on a stat.
Technology driving the locomotion
and it locks
of these
you out
large
of other
robots
classes.
is going to require its very own video in this series, so look out for that soon.
Sure, wouldn't it max exactly, but at least they wouldn't be able to have multiple classes.
What's exciting and what's still exciting is the fact that using this technology for our locomotion system is the door that opens up when you are training something to behave and walk by itself, and the nature, like when this player starts interacting with that and losing
That's what I
limbs,
wanted the boss to be like.
and still it wants to stand up.
I wish it was like that right now.
It just opens that door to a new type of
Well, it goes through
experience that
phases.
players
See, like this looks
haven't
fun.
had before, I think.
What happened to that?
They're literally playing against a machine.
We spent the majority of our first year just building tools. I also knew that we weren't going to get things right, that we were going to make a ton of mistakes along the way, and we had to plan for those mistakes and kind of get ourselves in a cushion to be able to make those mistakes. Guess what? You know, if you're trying to send people to Mars, you will crash a bunch of rockets. We crashed a bunch of rockets.
I remember one of the earliest things that I worked on was the dog. Do you remember like the four-legged little pouncing thing that ran around the world?
Yeah, that's long gone.
Yeah, it's long gone. But that was one of the first things that I started working on.
Sometimes ideas written down on paper or that people talk around. Oh, it'd be so cool, we'll have these enormous things and they can come down and you can fight them. And then in practice, when you put them into the game and you kind of go, okay, well, how does this actually work? It sounded really cool when we were talking about it, but actually now I'm just running around looking up all the time.
You can understand that the bosses don't have any forced difficulty. You can kill from afar and just keep walking around. There's no challenge. There's no. I miss a good challenge, like actual
200
challenge.
meters tall, and how do we even get up there?
The bosses should be fucking harsh, man. It should give actually good rewards.
I think one of the core problems was that what we were building then was something pretty new in terms of like how the gameplay would be, and it felt like we were moving in the same direction, but then with the pandemic we started to drift apart quite a lot.
The way we built the game before was very loose. That kind of mixing pot produces a lot of cool moments, and we just couldn't find the nugget that makes you want to persist. What is the main retention mechanic behind some of all this? What's in the mixing pot of fun experiences?
There are ways to find solutions for that.
Like, sort of crazy idea about projectiles.
What if some boss has like a force field, and it's like you have to be near melee range in its own area. If you're a third partier and you're in range, you usually get sniped. It has like a bunch of snipers or cannons. If you're long range and you're being this cut lord, you get sniped at. So what? I hate this thing where everybody's doing bosses from across the map on some roof. It's bullshit. It's lame. It's bullshit.
The parts of the enemies. So that was one of the first things I actually worked on, was a function for the launchers that we had to be able to like suck off the plates.
Well, the much launcher has that, yeah, it makes the boss really hard. It's very difficult boss to kill.
Scarab bots that we had.
Finding the fun is always the thing that you cannot just automatically say that we'll just do this and it will be fun. What you know is like you work and you put the thing in and it's not working as you want it to. So then you need to start reworking it and reiterating on it, and maybe rethinking some of your initial assumptions that there's limitations in certain aspects and there's other ways that actually it's more fun because you play the game and you realize, you know what, it's more fun throwing these rocks at this robot, or it's more fun jumping. That, I think, comes from playing the game and just playing around with what you created. and allowing that to express itself in the game's creation, I think that's when you can actually do new meaningful things.
The way we developed our game by, you know, people put things in there and we feel it out together and we change what's wrong together worked well when we were a smaller team and met each other all the time. But then it just didn't work well once we were separated through the pandemic.
Behind the scenes, Pioneer was struggling to find its identity. The pandemic was partly to blame. Problem solving is much more challenging with teams spread apart. But more worryingly, the various departments were beginning to drift with each milestone. Communication was challenging remotely, and as a result, the game was beginning to feel less cohesive. More worryingly, the moments that made the game feel special, when all the players got together in the center of the map to destroy a large machine, were difficult to replicate.
See, I like this. I actually like this a lot.
So in order to fix this, the team entered a 6-month phase in which they would try and distill this PvE experience into something that would deliver satisfying rounds more consistently. This phase was known internally as the pivot.
If I remember correctly, we had actually reduced the game to a point where I said, okay, we need to make this one part fun. And if we can make this part fun, then we can replicate it, right? Even though we had this huge world, we were just using a small portion of it. And my first task was the moment I realized we are very ambitious, which was, Kaio, can you put a timeline to deliver this game, right, in 2020? And I said, well, from what I can see here, did all the estimates, talk to the whole team, understand the whole scope of it. I was like, okay, I think the best we can do is like we need around 2 years. And the answer was no way. We have 6 months. How can we make a plan that fits 6 months? And I remember even the name of the presentation was called Hail Mary Plan. And we had a plan for trying to get something out there in 6 months.
At that time, it was in a state where we were looking at trying to launch it, or at least getting ready to launch it. So we'd had what we had called closed beta at that point, and I think as part of that process, realized that what we had there wasn't really a viable thing. Their game loop, it wasn't really there. So you'd have some sessions where you had an amazing moment, and you loved it, and you never had anything like that in a game ever before. And then the following 10 sessions, you were running for 10 kilometers with nothing happening and nothing to interact with. So it really kind of hinged on these highly emotional
kind of like the current game then, I guess.
That were few and far between.
It's not like every player who goes into the game is going to be like, oh yeah, I ran into this giant boss and I had this cool encounter, because that's how we designed the encounter to play out. It's like some people ran in there and like, I just got stomped on the head and died immediately. Yep. It's like, oh, sorry, yeah, we don't actually control where it's putting its
exactly.
legs.
Or I ran in and someone had already pulled 3 legs off of it. So now it was laying there and kind of like trying to, you know, kind of go at you.
Felt kind of cruel.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really difficult to make it consistent.
I'm being unfair, but I feel like
this whole idea about kind of raiding together against these large robots, that there was elements of fun in there, for sure, and there was elements of spectacle in all of it, for sure. But what I couldn't see was not that there wasn't moments of fun, or that. What I couldn't see is that I couldn't see the big picture of it. I didn't quite understand how all of this would meaningfully add up to something that could stand the test of time and consistently do so. We had at the end of the pivot.
I'm not hating to hate. I'm just being critical of the game. That's perfectly fine. I think the game has a lot of problems with it.
Invited friends and family.
A mode where you broke into the spaceport level and activated these things, which culminated in one of our giant bosses coming down. We went out with that in the closed beta, and you know, it did what it needed to do, but it also affirmed that outside of those emotional highs and the novel gameplay, there was nothing that stitched it together. We lacked any sense of metagame or progression. So you'd have these fun sessions for a few times, but there was nothing that actually pulled you back or kept you going forward.
You know, I think a couple of us already knew what that test was going to be. But at the end of the day, it became even clearer as we got closer to the deadline that while this has, of course, it's fun and there's something here, it's still lacking a big component. So Patrick already said, I think
the game that was lacking, I think,
is that
difficulty,
I think you need to add
and
PvP.
We had
extra moments that feel special.
You know, I certainly, as I'm always, was very opinionated towards the team around what I thought. I mean, from the start, I said, listen, I think that we need this to be a PvP game to some extent. I think we're going to struggle with getting a PvE game the way that we want to with the tech that we have.
And that's really when we had a lot of internal discussions, and I think we had our summer party and then went on break and came back, and then everyone was informed that we were pivoting to a new genre and starting to explore what that could mean, and lifted everything we could.
No, so my idea was, it's just like Origin on Black Ops 3 Zombies, where during an event of the bosses, the big bosses walk through the map on 3 different lanes, right? If you aggro it, they stay, otherwise they get out, and they're easier to kill. Right now the problem is that it's impossible to kill a boss and loot it. It's not possible. I don't give a fuck. Everybody says in the chat, it is not possible to kill a boss and loot it uninterrupted, or even slight interruption. The whole lobby's hiding behind rocks, waiting for the boss to die, and then everybody jumps in and you get nothing, or you get some and then or some. It's what it is. It's not. The system is not a good compromise. It's shit.
The enemies,
dog shit.
the
Dog
characters,
shit.
or things about the characters were lifted and sort of repurposed.
It didn't work. The larger recipe for the game wasn't there, and again, we couldn't replicate the sessions consistently enough. So I think that.
Like I hate when you guys just like make devs immune to criticism, where when something goes on, say that's the point. That's the point. Oh, I spawned in and I just got the max win loot every lobby in a row. The rooms have no loot. That's the point. That's the point. Oh, I go in full gear at 17 minutes in the lobby. They get free fucking pickings for the loot with a free load. That's the point. That's the point.
It's enough.
At one point, these are shit mechanics. Like, what are you talking about, man?
The PvP component.
I understand that a lot of people, and frankly me included, wanted this to be a PvE game, and I wanted for our vision to work. But when it doesn't work, you have two options. You can either, well, 3. You can release what you have to the public, and they will crucify you.
Guys, what do you say? Guys, what do you say?
Or you decide, I don't want to continue with it.
I thought this stream sucks, and what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna find a word I don't even know what he's talking about. I'm gonna say, in the middle of my phrase, I'm gonna say, guys, today I'm gonna, and instead of saying a normal word, right, I'm gonna put a slur in the middle of that. Bang! Because why not? Guys, today I'm bang! Put a slur in the middle! Because fuck it! Because that's just funny! That's what I'm gonna do right now! Like, holy fucking shit, it's annoying.
You still have a belief in the lore, everything that you've built, and the core kind of gameplay loop, and you say, maybe I can just make this something different.
The pivot had not worked. The team knew that a more drastic solution was required, a new phase in which the older version of Arc Raiders would be put to rest and a new game built around PvE and PvP combat would be built. This phase, the most significant beat of Arc Raiders' development story, is known internally as the reset. But to buy the studio...
Chat, you know what, chat? Yeah, I think it's time for everybody to understand that this game, unfortunately, has its legs cut off because of the fact that it's cross-play on console. Console is gonna fuck all the potential it has to be updated properly, to be given hot fixes or whatever. It is what it is. The game is always gonna be sort of half solid, because of how hard it is to update games that include console.
Enough time to reset Arc Raiders, they'd first have to push forward the release of the studio's other multiplayer project.
What the studio needed to do once we actually made the decision...
A bypass for that is having your game in early access. You can bypass a bunch of the bullshit, garbage, like barriers for updating your game. Being in early access saves your game.
Was that one of the reasons we could make it was we switched the order of the games. So that would be the implication of it, because we wouldn't be able to add PvP and figure out what the new game was all about and still keep the kind of targeted release window. That was pretty clear from the beginning, which meant that we had to put the finals front and center, which of course for them was perhaps, well, okay, suddenly we're in the hot seat now, and that certainly must have felt like a challenge to that team.
The reset wasn't just going to be a case of sticking PvE into their PvP game. It was going to require a fundamentally new approach to the way sessions would play out, a way of merging the best parts of their enemies and world building with PvP gameplay that felt exciting, but not overly punishing either. So, what was going to get cut, and what did they keep?
So we had the world,
This is a bad take, but don't listen to my take. This is my personal opinion. They need to make flashlights actually good and give you a certain advantage in the slot of a slot, maybe a 4 grip. The flashlight needs to be an actual grip. The game is completely dark, and you have an advantage if you play with the fucking bullshit gamma at 1.4, 1.8 or whatever, right? The flashlight actually hurt you if you go into a medium range zone that is dark, and the person and it makes everything weird. All the smoke in front of you, good, bro. It's bad. It's terrible.
We knew the world that was crafted.
Flashlights need to be a good mechanic. It's a shit mechanic.
I was playing the game quite early. I was just walking through these empty hallways and these corridors of offices, and I was thinking to myself, like, I just want to explore this place. I want this to be more than just a static backdrop where, you know, I'm fighting robots. I want this to be something. I want to be here because you already built one half of it. So I feel like you already made me want to go and explore this world. So what game type then would be the game that kind of fits there? How can we kind of apply that with a new game type? When we broke it all down, it started to become more and more apparent on, you know, we had the arcs, the AIs that we wanted to continue building. We wanted to keep the large robots. We wanted to keep the world. We wanted to keep the brand. And
IP, flashlight should at least blind enemies slightly or reduce their accuracy.
We didn't feel like we needed to reinvent all those things. There was
increase
a game
bloom,
speed,
anything.
If we think about the different phases, the phase we were in when we did the reset felt absolutely right, because the game we had at our hands at that point wasn't at the peak
reason?
fun.
Because the game is so goddamn fucking dark that the only way to see through it is by cheating and increasing your fucking gamma. People fucking have their shit on 200% where they can't see a fucking thing, and everything's so bright, okay? It's burning up their fucking retina, but they can see you and shoot you. But unless you do that, you're cooked by it, so you have to do it yourself. It's shit.
That
it's shit.
Had even been right.
That was one thing that they kept bringing back to me. Like, you know, when was the game most fun? And they said, like, M12, I think is the name, M12. You need to go back and look at M12. I was like, okay,
that's the point.
I have to go back and look at it.
That's the
which
point.
Was,
oh my god, I can't.
Scaled down version of the full experience, but it took place around the spaceport area, and there was players going through a bunch of arcs, and then eventually ended up inside of the spaceport, and then fought one of the large robots inside the spaceport. And so they felt like that was the strongest that the game had been. So we tried to recreate that to some degree, as at least take some of the things that we knew worked from that point and put that into the game.
I think what worked was the emergent nature of how players were interacting with each other and the machines, and there was a good sort of rhythm of play in that one. I think the destruction of the machines themselves, there were some sort of, you know, gradual, gratifying, juicy destruction, and we could see how the machines were navigating across this spaceport. Repeating it, if you're asking yourselves, would I do this over and over again, even if you just change the environments and the machines were slightly different and so on, like what is the, then you start asking the right questions about why would I come back? And in a context of a free-to-play game where retention is crucial, you have to be able to see yourself doing that over and over again.
The game we're making now was the game I sort of imagined when we started building it. It was a game about exploring and being in this world, and the world was supposed to challenge you, and you were supposed to go places to find
It was meant to be free to play at first.
And just the way the game was playing earlier was this action game where things just came at you. To me, it's much better because it has a slower pace. This is the best game I've worked on for me because it's a game about listening for things.
And that's why PvP is such an important...
Listen for things, but the only thing that you cannot hear are players, the most deadly thing on the server. You cannot hear a footstep that's coming at 2 fucking meters from you. But I can hear the goddamn stupid fucking leaper that's 3 entire servers from me. Gotcha.
Addition to the game.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, man.
A lot of people have a strong reaction to what that means.
I can't deal with this
shit.
shit.
If you think about what happens when you play against other humans, you just realize that finite distance gets closer to infinite because now you have all the permutations of human behavior in the session. Some players might not like playing another person because you'll get tryhards that are very, very good. But if we do our job well, then you'll have something that feels balanced and fun even if you're not the best at aiming or the best at shooting, you should still be able to
they need to add
find something
at least
rewarding in that experience of extracting stuff back.
2 extract spots per map that die faster.
To a world where Arc is operating and there is something going on. I think the gameplay components,
when you load into a server at 17 minutes, you know for a fact, if you play the game for more than 5 minutes, you only get 1 extract spot remaining. You're gonna get scummed, you're gonna get fucked, you're gonna get piped from the back by some people that built the new Trump Tower on top of the fucking elevator. That's not the point, that's dog shit.
Discover you, how they discover other players, and how that becomes noise traps for other players is super interesting. So I think that the toolbox for our designers here to build emergent moments, it's actually really strong.
I mean, I understand that some people are upset that it didn't work. So am I. But at the same time, what we have now is an incredible game that I believe works really well, that I think people will have an amazing time with. That's all that we can do as game developers. Try our best.
Fair, but if you give people the map, that's a high-stake map for most PvP, you're gonna draw all the PvP players to that, and it's gonna overall make the PvP nature and the cooperative nature of the game. It'll make the game more tame for the ones that don't want that. It literally helps. Yeah, there's still gonna be PvP on the, but you have to give you an actual high-risk map, dude.
To deliver that to the players out there. Simple, it's not more complicated than that.
Our chief concern is to make a game that is fun at its core and that stays fun and keeps being fun and keeps evolving into something that is even more fun. Because that was the cul-de-sac we ended up with before we rebooted the game, right? It was really fun. But it was
I love the game,
kind
but
of fun over and over, and that doesn't really cut it.
You're missing the point, though.
In the reveal trailer, what we were literally selling to our players is, even though we're saying fictionally, like, there's large machines out there, well, in that video, we are dominating the machines. We're jumping on top of them, smashing them, and inviting players to have fun with that. That's been flipped around, and I think that's for the better. Like, really having players fearing the machines is a completely different game. That's a 180 in terms of how we relate to the machines as the players.
Brother, the only thing I fear in this game is the fucking Rocketeer and the dumbass broken-ass Shredder that has 6,000 HP that is piping me from the back.
The old version of Arc Raiders was now dead, a dream that the studio was going to have to wake up from. But what could they retain from those early years? What stuff could they bring forward into this new version of Arc Raiders? And what new tricks did they have up their sleeves? In the next episode of this 3-part series, we're going to tackle the experience of being a raider, how elements like combat, the loot system, audio, and world building evolved after the reset, and crucially why the studio dropped the plan to go free to play. See you then.
Because free to play inherently makes you compromise what you want to do with the game so you can make money off of fucking losers. That's the problem. That's the problem. Because you guys say money, like the people that have free to play, their game isn't a piece of shit fucking money drain. Like, it's awful. Like, people will never get it. People, it's like people want everything for free, right? Everything, without no compromises. Like, you're fucking stupid. Free to play have gone worse than pay to play because of how shit the goddamn games are when they compromise because they want to make money. They want to make money. Money. Money, 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 money. Jesus. Feel me?
Money, 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 money.
What?